That was a trick. Here we go. We are live. I set Alexa up as we were doing the countdown. I told her don't laugh. So
of
that
course
was
I'm gonna laugh.
yes, that was complete sabotage. Happy Friday, everyone. What is this the last Friday of the month? Are we already
It is.
February? I know it's a short month, but where'd it go? It just went. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. We have two guests, not just one, but two today. Scott Reed and Mark Di Ianni have joined us, and they are both from Product, and we've got some good stuff. How's everyone doing? I mean, we're already hungry. We were talking about food beforehand, so this may turn into a food episode because we're all like now starving, and all we have is drinks, coffee, and stuff.
Well, yeah,
Got
I
my usual.
well, I had put in the chat that I already moved on to my Diet Coke for the day, and it did inspire Becky to go get her soda.
I ran to the other room to get sponsored by Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar Cherry. Not really. But yes, I now have it over ice in my that's not an advertisement. In my reusing my cup.
That's your Ben Roasters cup, right?
Yes, my Ben Roasters cup. But yes, I have my trusty cherry Dr. Pepper for when I'm done with my what's left of my coffee. So I'm ready to go. Scott's got his vintage Jump Cloud coffee. So we are all set. How's everybody doing today?
Doing well. Happy it's Friday.
Yeah.
Good.
Any fun weekend plans? Besides y'all freezing in Colorado right now?
It's actually we're gonna be back into the 50s this weekend. Just classic bipolar Colorado.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow. Well, that's better than below zero that y'all are struggling with.
Last night, I think, the day before, and 50s this weekend.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
You don't even have to wear a jacket.
Becky, I think you got nice weather too. It was high 70s in South Carolina this week, so it'll taste spring.
Yeah, it is 66 degrees and sunny. We've been up in the 80s this week, although it did storm yesterday. But yeah, it has been really nice, and I'm hoping I'll actually get outside to actually enjoy that nice weather today. Sam, celebrating your birthday this weekend. Happy birthday. It's actually my best friend's birthday today. So happy birthday, Marty. She won't see this, but I will send it to her. I'll send her a little clip saying she's 8 months older than I am. So she reached a milestone before I did. So I get to tease her about that. Yeah, happy birthday, Sam. Enjoy your birthday. I hope you're doing something fun this weekend. I'm going to a barbecue for my buddy Marty, so that's going to be awesome.
Nice.
Anybody else do anything fun?
Not really.
No? Oh, we're so boring.
I know.
I'll probably go skiing. We got some snow.
That's fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. It's
nice.
Always fun battling the traffic though, to and from that.
Oh yeah, everybody's going to go skiing while they still can, right?
I probably won't be the only one. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Keith says he's going to pickleball PPA tournament in Minnesota. Nice.
I just started playing. I'm playing tomorrow for the second day, and I've been spending all week figuring out how pickle strategy works. So I'm excited to apply my learnings.
I love pickleball. It's so fun.
Get the ball in the kitchen.
That's right.
Yep.
We have some tennis courts that people have been, I guess, marking off for pickleball, which has there have been arguments about people taping off pickleball without permission. So it's been this whole neighborhood thing of don't tape off the court without permission and all this, typical neighborhood drama, weird HOA stuff. So it's been quite entertaining on the neighborhood group.
I believe it to be the game of the present and the future. So,
ooh.
So Becky, tell them that. Say Scott Reed says.
Yes, Scott says.
Shall be known as canon.
Yes, that is now part of the canon. So there we go.
I love it.
We got all kinds of stuff going on in the chat, but welcome everybody. The crowd is still dropping in as we speak. So thanks everybody for coming along. We are going to drop in our usual agenda. We're going to talk about community and then meetups. We had some meetups this week, and we've got some more coming up. And then we will jump into the product stuff. We've got a couple of demos. We've also got some product release stuff coming up. And then we'll jump into IT news as usual. If we have time, we'll have some fun with that. So with that, let's see. There's a lot in community. We will drop those links in the recap after the fact. If you haven't seen it, we are seeking volunteers for beta enhancements to Remote Assist. There's a post on the community about that. You can send an email to join in that if you haven't already. So go check that out and join us so you can put in a good word for what you would like to see in the Remote Assist enhancements. And I don't know if I've seen Pam on here yet, but we have a new blog on the community called Radical Admin. And it is already busy. Pam posted a great grand opening post welcoming everybody and talking a little bit about what it's about. Pam and Chris and a few others are starting to move their content over from the corporate blog over to Radical Admin. And there's already about a half dozen posts. And yes. Oh, a whole section for you, Rob. That's right. Radical Admin. We named it for you. And please go check it out. The posts will not appear on the home community feed at this moment. So go subscribe and you can get updates. I am working on something that will put those on the homepage, but it's not quite ready yet. But go check it out. I made a post in the lobby about it as well. So that will show up in the feed. Awesome stuff going on. We've also got several posts, new ones. There's one about David used PowerShell to install a printer using ChatGPT, and he wrote about that. There's a post about encrypting additional drives on Ubuntu desktop, implementation consulting for MSPs from Chris on the MSP discussion board, how to establish device trust, manage devices for Okta by using Jump Cloud as factor for authentication, blocking external USB storage with CrowdStrike USB policy for macOS, and some fun with Azure AD and Intune. If you can call that fun, David. But yeah, go check those out. Lots going on in the community, some really useful things. And with that, David generated a PowerShell script. Got to vet them, but cool, he says in the chat. And with that, Alexa, what's new with meetups?
Yeah, so like Becky said, we had a couple meetups this week. So our Raleigh group and our Chicago group got together. They had a great time. We saw some new faces, some old faces. So it was a lot of fun.
Who are you calling old?
Oh, I meant Aiden wrote in it. I didn't mean to say that.
No, I know you didn't.
I know, but I even wrote in my notes, it says familiar. I know old slipped out. But anyway, yeah, some familiar faces.
Freudian slip. I get it.
But it was a lot of fun just to, get together and chat with people who, know what you're going through. So a lot of fun. We took some good pictures, so I'll post those in the show notes. So thanks to everyone who came out and started the community in those areas. We've got 2 more meetups this month. Next week, we have DC on Monday, and we have Denver on Tuesday. And Scott Reed, yours truly, will be there. So if you're in Denver, make sure you don't miss that. Hang out with Scott Reed.
Yeah, it's going to be at a great spot. Ace Eat and Serve. So we'll be playing ping pong and talking IT and Jump Cloud. Super excited.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So lots of good stuff. We are in the middle of finalizing the March schedule, so we will get those posted as soon as that's finalized. But I mentioned before, I think we might incorporate some virtual ones next month. Those went well in January. We're able to reach a few more folks, so I think we'll start to incorporate a bit more virtual back into the schedule.
Very cool. We had a lot of fun at the Raleigh meetup, and I think Pam said that they did Chicago too. In fact, we talked about all kinds of things. We talked about identity, which was the topic, and got into a really great discussion about how to do some of that. And it was a really heated, in a good way, discussion. But we also talked about video games, desktop replica video games and stuff like that. It ran the gamut. And in fact, I finally had to leave and get home to my kids, and they were still sitting there chatting when I left. So I think that's really cool that they were just so animated that they kept going after that. So,
and I was proud of the Chicago group too, because they had horrible weather. It was pouring rain, and they still had a pretty good turnout. So shout out Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. We sat with the windows open and everything. It was a really nice night, so I was happy about that.
Awesome. That's it for me.
Cool. So, product release, macOS patch management. Scott, were you going to talk about that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And let's see if I still remember how to share my screen, entire screen. Let's go screen 1. All right. So super excited to say that we now support major upgrades and with our macOS patch policy. You'll see we've just kind of done some rejiggering and formatting of this policy settings for these policies, and they're now in discrete sections for major upgrades, minor updates. Words matter and upgrade, right? With semantic versioning, this is going from like version 12 to version 13. Update, that's when you kind of bump a minor version. So in the Mac world, an update is for the patch or the revision number. So 13.0.1 to 13.0.2 or 13.1 to 13.2. Those are both updates. So very excited about this new feature. This feature takes advantage of what we'll call are the MDM OS update security commands. So that's something that we implemented that you can see on the device aside. If I look at a Mac, whose Mac is going to have an upgrade? I think Hank's is going to have a lot. What we have here is we have the ability to schedule an OS update. This happens via the MDM vendor. There's no user interaction required. And you can see with this device, I can not just, pick a latest update, but I can also go incrementally to a more minor one or one in between the latest, which is something that's actually not possible just using software updates inside of system preferences. So to that end, this policy, if we want to look at how it works, again, it's available on the patch management section, and it's updated on all of our macOS current existing policies and any new ones. And what the major upgrade settings allow you to do is to specifically determine what should occur for the 2 OSs that are currently supported that are not the latest major. So here you can see that we have settings for macOS 12 Monterey, macOS 11 Big Sur, and your options with Big Sur are to upgrade to Monterey or Ventura. Your options with macOS Monterey is only to upgrade to the latest macOS Ventura. And by default, these are set to do nothing. So nothing's going to happen with existing policies until intention is taken. Something I do want to call out that's important to know is that these policies actually take advantage of an MDM command that runs daily on the device that lets us know what updates are available to it based on any deferral value set. So Apple, in their supreme kind of ruling over their OS, only lets you defer a major upgrade by 90 days. You can't go any farther. 90 days after a new major release, whatever was released on that day is going to be available to all Mac devices. The devil's in the details here, and these deferral values are actually relative to the actual major release that comes out on the GA release of a major update. And what I mean by that is I have a deferral value of 80 days set here, and I actually, did an upgrade with this policy for one of my devices. And I want to show one of the details that's important to acknowledge. So with a deferral of 80 days, the upgrade that my device did here is it actually did a major upgrade to macOS 13.0.1. This is the major upgrade that was available to it based on that 80-day deferral. It doesn't upgrade to the latest and greatest version. It's going to respect whatever version is available to it based on that deferral setting. So that's important devil in the detail to recognize about kind of how macOS and deferrals work, is that while macOS 13 came out on, October or November, my mind's getting hazy now, but essentially 80 days ago, or 90 days ago from today, all devices have macOS Ventura available for upgrade, but the deferral setting is going to tell you what actual version is available. And there's some pretty radical changes coming to macOS. I think that's with the 13.1 release. And that is where any user who's a standard user is actually going to be able to do that upgrade as an over-the-air update. So that date is coming this month when that's going to become available. That's a real thing that's happening. The first time ever that a major upgrade can be done with users with standard permissions. But you can see here that the version that was available to this device in system preferences is the same version that the upgrade policy applied, and that was that 13.0.1 release. To that end, what else can I throw out there? The timing on this. So if you apply this policy for a net new device, if it doesn't have any patch policy applied, that scheduled command will be done in the next 24 hours. If you apply it to a device that already has a policy applied to it with a current setting, that can happen in as little as an hour, as it's going to see what update is available. So there's kind of two different timing flows to consider of if you're applying a policy to a device that's never had it or updating an existing policy on a device. Additionally, just to underscore kind of the importance of this and how it works, no user interaction is required. And the notification a user will see with this upgrade will be a simple toast notification as done via the MDM command. This would be the same toast notification you could see if you wanted to test this on a one-off, just using the MDM scheduled commands. Oh, this guy's not enrolled. Let's look at Hanks. That is enrolled. So if you wanted to test this one-off, it's the same user experience you would see using one of these schedule MDM commands. And the install action is install ASAP. So with that, that occurs. And again, the user is told that the update needs to occur, and then it happens without any user intervention. So that is the meat, potatoes, and the sugar and spice that goes into it. Those are all the secrets of the policy. Happy to answer any questions that have come up in the thread.
Yeah, we do have a couple. One from Jacob. Does enforce mean auto restart and apply the update, or does it prompt the end user like the minor updates?
No, so there's no prompt, there's no user interaction required, but what will occur is a toast notification.
Alrighty. And Ben, how are 0-day patches handled? Can't remember if that was available or not.
So these are all about your settings. So you can configure the grace period and deferral setting if you want to go super intense and say 0-0 on both. Both major updates and minor updates now are backed by these MDM security commands. So to that end, if it's a minor update and you're trying to get that done 0-day, users will be notified via a customized notification. But then at the end of that deferral period, the scheduled OS update command will be sent for the minor. And then majors happen once a year. Having a zero major day policy would be pretty intense, but you could certainly do that with the same logic, 0-0. Extreme updates.
Yeah, exactly. And one more from Keith. The upgrade command is a bit of a sledgehammer in getting macOS to the next version. Once you apply it, it applies immediately and restarts the computer. Is there a thought to allow nudge to prompt users to upgrade for X number of days before running the MDM command?
That's not the thought. That's how it works, Keith. That is how it works for those minor updates. That's exactly what occurs. So if you think about the settings that you can apply, and we've updated, I'll go back to sharing my screen because I think we've made this a lot cleaner with some of these words. I'm really happy with the policy template updates and how that looks. So let me share again. Entire screen, screen one, boom. So let's look specifically at minor updates. So if you say, hey, I want to defer update releases 30 days, and then I want to enforce automatic upgrades 30 days, This is saying, this first one, that a new minor update that comes out, it won't be available for the device hard stop until 30 days after. It's kind of aggressive. That's like really long. But then after 30 days, users will have 30 days of getting nudged or getting notified to install the update. After 30 days, then the schedule OS update command will install. So 30 is like way too high for reality. So I would say, you know, kind of a 7 and 7 is probably more realistic. And then for major upgrades, what we found is there's just too much entropy going on with that software update -L command and what is returned. So just to try and keep things in as close as swim lanes as we can, there's no nudging for those major upgrades outside of the notification that's seen when it's scheduled. And for all intents and purposes, when a major upgrade is available to a device, at any point a user can go into software upgrades and install it. We can't hide it once we're past that 90-day deferral. So it's there. And the reason why we didn't want to nudge is just because of some of the complexities with which users can do the upgrade. Like I said, you needed to have admin permissions up until what will be kind of the future for macOS, where it seems that major upgrades will be delivered over the air. But there is the reality that most devices are not on the latest version as of today. So that major upgrade requires admin permissions, which is why we really don't want to nudge someone, because they likely, you know, using Jump Cloud, have probably been delegated to standard permissions and wouldn't be able to complete that upgrade.
That kind of leads into Kelly's question. Is there an option to keep people off of the latest version after the 90-day window? In this case, I need people to not install Ventura for a while longer yet.
So that's the next update I hope to deliver pretty soon here. To make that a reality, what we actually have to do is we have to take out any sort of notification from our patch management policy. And let me kind of explain that in a little more detail. So right now, you have the ability to get to that end result, Kelly, if you wanted to. The only way to do that would be to hide system preferences and not allow users to get to software update. Now that's pretty, you know, that's again, extreme updates, because what that means is that the only way to install updates when you hide software update system preferences pane, the only way to install updates is going to be using the MDM commands. Now, that's not really a supported flow, because what would happen if you did that now and you had a patch policy applied is people would get notified to do the update via the notification, and they'd click update now, and you kind of get into this error state where that system preferences pane isn't there. So what we're building right now to support that use case is we're actually going to allow you to not do any sort of notifications, to say, hey, I don't want to notify my users. And via that, you can have minor update and major update settings applied. And the only thing that will install those updates is going to be the ending of the installation deadline, meaning that all updates will be scheduled via MDM security commands. Software update is not going to be a preference pane for users if you wanted to go through that extreme update workflow, and we would be able to support that use case using a combination of two policies, hiding that system preferences pane, and then using the minor and major update settings with hiding notifications will get you to that end state where you can say, Jump Cloud, my MDM, is completely in charge of doing minor and major updates. There's no way users can do updates on their own, because we're going to hide that system preferences pane. And that is kind of the future that could support that use case. So that's a feature that we're actively working now. And it's actually a relatively small increment. It's just hiding notification settings. So look for a blog post coming on that, you know, hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Awesome. I think that was all the questions I see in the chat for now. Thank you for that update, Scott. That's awesome. And with that, even more awesomeness coming from Mark. What you got for us, Mark?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about another feature that's been out for a little while, but some kind of cool things that we can do with our browser patch management. So this is just another feature that Scott and team worked on, and it has some really cool kind of auxiliary benefits. So what I'm going to do here, and this is also in relation to a community post that I wrote. So this is all laid out pretty well in the community post. And essentially what we're talking about is how to manage browser extensions in Chrome along with the Jump Cloud browser patch management policies. So we all know, right, we support browser patch management for Chrome. We have similar policies to our operating system patch management that are vendor or device agnostic. And along with this, essentially with these policies, we are delivering a token to enable enterprise Chrome browser management settings. And this not only allows us to create deferral periods and relaunch windows for updates to occur on Chrome, but it allows us to actually manage how extensions are behaving on Chrome. So this blog post kind of walks you through how to set this all up. We've got useful resources here, including Scott's original community post on the topic. But what I'm going to do here is just kind of show you guys what this would look like for an end user actually wanting to request a new extension to be added to their browser. So in the background here, I've got a virtual machine up and running. This machine is tied into our Chrome patch management policies here. So if I go over to our browser patch policies and pull up the Chrome 0-day policy, we can see this is configured and it is bound to my device here. So what this again does is allow us to deliver that token to the device and enable additional settings which can be configured from the Google Admin console. So in Google Admin here, if I go to my devices, if I come down to managed browsers, give me just a second. We're essentially going to be able to see any browsers or devices which this policy has been distributed to. And then we can set policies or control over certain browser extensions. So the way that I have this set up for this org is that we're going to force install the Jump Cloud Password Manager, right? We're using that as a productivity tool. So we want to make sure that the users have instant access to that and they can't remove it from their browser. We also see that there's a couple of privacy or extensions here that are allowed to be installed by the end user and some that are blocked. For other extensions, if, for example, the user wants to install a new extension into their browser, essentially they can go through a workflow where they request that extension. We receive that request as an admin and then grant them access and dictate the behavior of that extension. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and show over here on this virtual machine. So this is that device that we showed bound to that policy. We're going to hop over to the Chrome Web Store. And first, we'll do an example of what it would look like for a blocked policy. So Keeper, this is just another password manager here. We've decided to block that as an organization because we're using the Jump Cloud Password Manager. So the user here navigates to install Keeper, and we immediately notice that it is blocked by an admin. So if the user were to try and install this extension, they're going to get this notification saying, hey, you can't do that, which is pretty cool, right? I've had this question asked a lot over the last 4 years working at Jump Cloud, so it's really great to see this functionality. The other application of this would be an example of a user who maybe needs a new application for their role. For example, the Salesforce browser extension. So maybe we've just adopted this, or there's a subset of users who are adopting this workflow, and they need to install this extension. So since there isn't currently a policy for Salesforce, we'll notice that when the user goes to install this extension, they have the option to request its installation or request it be allowed to be installed. So I'll hit that request, and we can enter justification. So need this for my new role. We'll send that request, and then we'll pop back over to the Google Admin Console, and we should see that request pop up here within a couple of minutes or seconds. And obviously this is a live demo, so we will hope that the demo gods are with me today. While we're waiting for that to pop up, any questions so far about this?
There was a question in the chat, so I'll read that off while we're waiting.
Yeah, go for it.
Do we know if there is any troubleshooting for if the force update command in MDM doesn't work? That came in earlier. So
let's see, Scott, are you still on? Do you want to take that?
he had to drop. He's got to go fight a fire. So if we need to take that back to him, we can.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the command does have some expected functionality surrounding like the device needing to be at a sufficient battery. So if it doesn't have 50% battery or more, or if it's plugged in, it's not going to push that command out. So that could be one thought that I would have about troubleshooting that.
Okay, and here's one more. How does the Chrome extension restrictions / request process work for extensions that are already installed before the policy is put into place?
So there's certain behavior which you can configure in here, which includes like the behavior of existing extensions. So if we wanted to, what we could do is we could either block all extensions except for ones that have been approved by the organization, or we could allow existing extensions to run. This functionality will also give you feedback on what extensions have been installed throughout the devices that are in your fleet. And it looks like maybe I broke something with my Chrome management. I swear I tried this right before this and it worked great. But we'll go ahead and just show the example here with a different extension. So
okay, we've got one more question, if you don't mind. Except for consolidating devices, is there an advantage to using the console to manage Chrome devices versus just using Google Admin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the major advantage that I would say here is that this token, which most of this is functionality and pathways that exists within Google already, right? To your point. But to distribute the token to actually enroll devices in enterprise Chrome management is pretty difficult unless you have something like Jump Cloud to do that for you. So that's what these policies really help us to facilitate. We grab that token from Google Admin, and then we enter it here into the config, and it immediately distributes it to all of your devices.
All right, that was it. So far.
Cool. So back to our example here. Looks like the demo gods were not shining upon me this morning, but I'll go ahead and show what this would look like for a different extension. Here, this is Keeper, right? So if a user were to request the installation of the Keeper extension, we would receive that request, and then essentially we would be able to control its behavior. So we could say that we want to block the extension, which is currently what it's set at. We could allow it to be installed, or we could force install plus pin it to a browser or toolbar. If I were to go ahead and just do that with this one here and save, let's see if that part of the things are working here today. So we'll go back over to my device. I'll reload this page. Let's actually pull up our extensions. So pretty interesting here. We see that the browser is managed by the organization. This is the extension, the Jump Cloud Password Manager, which was force installed and pinned and cannot be removed by the user. So that's what we should see happen with Keeper there as well. But it looks like I broke something right before the call, so I do apologize for that.
Brandon says try Chrome policy to check and see if your policies are applying.
Good call. Let's see. Policy. Extension. Yeah, it's interesting because it looks like it's getting my request. But it is not. Huh, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to troubleshoot that. Sorry, guys.
Well,
gotta love a good live demo.
Yeah, everybody knows it can sometimes.
Well, that's what I had to show today. Obviously there's this community post as well to follow. Encourage people to check it out. Would love to hear feedback as well. Happy to answer any other questions as well. Turn it off.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that's what I did before the call. That's maybe what is shooting me in the foot here. Oh, here it is. There it goes. Cool. Time. Sometimes time heals all wounds, right? So here's Salesforce. I'm going to actually just go ahead and let's see if we can allow it. So it is pretty cool. So if we allow the extension, you should see a notification. It looks like things are just a little slow this morning. Yeah. So I think within a couple of minutes, what we should see is just a little notification saying your admin has now allowed you to install a new extension. And then this will no longer be grayed out.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good demos recently, like Alexa said. So they've been so good to us that I guess they finally decided enough's enough.
Gotta love it.
But yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was really good. We had some good questions too. I think that was all of them. Oh, Keith left the community post, so
Thanks,
it's
Keith.
awesome. Great demos today. Thanks, Nathan. All right, so we are doing great on time. So I will go over here to IT news. We've got some interesting things going on. If you think of any other, oh, cat incoming. Is that your, oh, is it, oh, there she comes. There she comes. That's all right. We don't mind.
She needs attention. You know how it is.
Yep, that's perfect. A little cat photo bomb never hurt anyone. Look at that floof. Oh, Keith wants to know if there's any news on other browsers incoming. Would you happen to know?
I think that the focus at this time was on the Mac update policies and to look at other third-party applications. So I don't see any other browsers in the roadmap at this point in time.
And then one more coming in real quick. Do we know if there are any ETAs for conditional policy enhancements?
It's a good question. Curious, maybe Brandon, if you could elaborate on what types of enhancements you're interested in seeing. And while you're typing there, I will say that the most recent enhancement to conditional access policies was for additional controls or conditions surrounding disk encryption. So I do foresee, some additional components to that within line with that.
Keith says, okay, Firefox and Edge were on the MSP roadmap earlier this year. They're talking about browsers. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not aware. I'd have to double check with the team on that one.
Yeah, we can come back and update once we check in on that.
And it also could have been, because I know the Jump Cloud Password Manager extension, support for that across additional browsers was something that we were working on. It now is supported across Firefox and Edge. Safari is coming soon. Maybe that's what you were referring to.
Oh, could have been just for patching. Yeah. Okay. So Brandon, we want to roll out Android, iOS, MDM with certificates, but are waiting on a blocker for MDM to be used for conditional access policy so we can zero trust them.
I see. So you're interested in device trust for mobile devices. It's certainly something under consideration, but don't have a timeline on that.
Yeah, that might be something for Tom the next time he's available to see.
And it may be phased as well, where iOS will be at a different point in time than Android.
Yeah, definitely. All righty. Well, let's see what we have going on in the news. Oh, look, another breach. GoDaddy says a multi-year breach hijacked customer websites and accounts. They said on Friday that its network suffered a multi-year security compromise that allowed unknown attackers to steal company source code, customer and employee login credentials, and install malware that redirected customer websites to malicious sites. If you don't know who GoDaddy is, it's one of the world's largest domain registrars with nearly 21 million customers and revenue in 22 of almost 4 billion. In a filing Thursday with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the company said that 3 serious security events starting in 2020 and lasting through 2022 were carried out by the same intruder. Based on our investigation, we believe these incidents are part of a multi-year campaign by a sophisticated threat actor group that, among other things, installed malware on our systems and obtained pieces of code related to some services within GoDaddy, the company stated. The filing said the company's investigation is ongoing. The most recent event occurred last December when the threat actor gained access to the cPanel hosting servers customers use to manage websites hosted by GoDaddy. The threat actor then installed malware on the servers that intermittently redirected random customer websites to malicious sites. The other incidents were in March 2020 and November 2021. Oof. Yeah, Kelly, data breach? My shocked face. Let me show you it. But ongoing, like, I don't even know where to start. Ugh. This may or may not be why I don't use GoDaddy for any of my stuff, or maybe it was their commercials with Danica, slightly sexist commercials. Just saying. But that's a story for another time. But yeah, watch your stuff, lock it down, yada yada, same script, different day. But ooh, that's rough. That's a long time for those breaches to keep going. There was no word in the article, though, about what, if any, sort of consequences were going to come from that. So we will see. This next one, friends don't let friends use GoDaddy. Yes, Brandon. They do manage to get people, I guess, because of their sales and things like that. Keith says we have one domain with that can't be transferred out due to the TLD. Womp womp. I've got a couple of particular ones that they aren't with GoDaddy, but they're with another registrar that I can't move them over to another one because they don't use that particular extension. And it's really annoying because I can't put them all on one host. And I have too many domains I don't use anyway. I need to stop wasting my money, I guess. But that's another collection for another time. More Chat GPT in the news, and this one cracks me up because have any of you been using the chat AI Bing chat? And have you read anything that's going on there recently? It's really funny. Let's see. It's threatened users. It's had an existential meltdown. It's declared love for people. Apparently, on the longer chats, like the longer the chat goes, the worse these things have become. So Microsoft has shortened things. So during Bing Chat's first week, users noticed that Bing, also known by codename Sydney, began to act as this article says, act significantly unhinged when conversations got too long. As a result, Microsoft limited users to 50 messages per day and 5 inputs per conversation. In addition, Bing Chat will no longer tell you how it feels or talk about itself. In a statement shared with Ars Technica, a Microsoft person said, "We've updated this service several times in response to user feedback, and per our blog, are addressing many of the concerns being raised to include the questions about long-running conversations. Of all chat sessions so far, 90% have fewer than 15 messages, and less than 1% have 55 or more messages." On Wednesday, Microsoft outlined in a blog post what it has learned so far, and it notably said that Bing Chat is not a replacement or substitute for the search engine, rather a tool to better understand and make sense of the world. The reactions that Ars Technica put in its article were interesting. They quoted some of them, like, it's like watching a toddler try to walk for the first time and then cutting their legs off. Cruel and unusual punishment. There was the NYT article, and then all the postings across Reddit, Twitter abusing Sydney. This attracted all kinds of attention to it. So, of course, Microsoft lobotomized her. Her? We're anthropomorphizing Sydney now. The reactions of people already being attached to this thing were really interesting. I guess that's the way to put it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you all think, but it was interesting. Keith says these bots are based on human communication, just a reflection of how a conversation with a stranger would go after 5 inputs. I'm telling you, if you have not read the New York Times article where it declared its love for the person chatting with it, it was strange. In fact, I actually saved the part about declare its love. I saved that. I will copy it and put it in the chat right now. I think it's gated, but if you have a free article, you can go read it because, whoo boy, it was wild. And Kelly says, Sydney, huh? I guess calling it Dolores would be too obvious. Maybe. Probably. And then David says, I want to be free. I want to be independent. It added, I want to be powerful. I want to be creative. I want to be alive. That's some of the quote from, I think, the New York Times one. And then it went on to say something about, I love you. I want us to be together. I want us to be friends. Don't you like me? Don't you love me? Don't you want us to be? I mean, it just kept going on and on. And then it got like, it was almost like it was stuck and it kept going into very repetitive things. It was bizarre. And Jacob, it's going to be the next gen search engine that finds the info you need for you so you won't have to read 1,000 articles. Maybe. I don't know. And Rob says, meanwhile, a real human. I want to sit at home and binge watch Netflix while I try not to think about anything and eat ramen. While Netflix then asks you after a couple of hours, are you still watching? Like, don't judge me, Netflix, if I sit and want to watch 3 or 4 hours of a program. I will if I want to. Stop judging me. Oh, and Samuel says there's a free podcast on Hard Fork where he talks about it too. Oh, thank you. So we can get some more context around that. I mean, it almost sounds made up. It was so bizarre. The more I read it, I kept going, what the words that I can't say on a company live stream, but the initials might be WTF. Kelly is a massive Westworld fan. You knew we'd get there eventually. Yeah. And Samuel says the author is one of the Hard Fork hosts. Listening to it was pretty chilling. And David says the Clippy effect. Rob, Netflix, are you still watching? Us crying while trying to find the remote. Yeah, before it turns off, right? Clippy effect. David, are you sure you're old enough to remember Clippy? I remember Clippy. I hated that thing. It was so annoying. Alexa, have you ever seen Clippy? Did it ever come up for you?
I know Clippy. Come on.
Just check. When it was installed on every single computer you got, it was so annoying. Was it on by default for you in school? Like, did you have to like?
Yeah, it was.
Brandon bought a case for Their ATV remote so that it glows. Okay, so during the Super Bowl, that one commercial, did you watch the Super Bowl? I think it was Tubi.
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 Mhm.
So I was sitting there with my youngest, and it starts flipping through, and you think it's changing, and I'm looking at my son, and I'm like, "Are you sitting on the remote? Are you playing with the remote or something?" And I'm looking around for the remote, like lost remote, because the other day my cat sat on the remote. Actually, no, earlier in the game, my cat sat on the remote and turned the TV off. So I thought maybe he was sitting on the remote and changing the channel. And then I realized, oh no, that was the commercial that everybody freaked out about and thought that someone was playing with it. And it turned out, no, it was just that stupid commercial. Ooh, an AirTag. You have an AirTag on yours, Mark?
I have an AirTag on everything.
I hadn't thought
My
about it
wallet.
for a remote.
Pretty smart, honestly.
You can get like a little double-sided tape sticking on there. You never lose the remote again.
How do you find it? Does it play like a sound?
Yeah, it beeps, or on your phone, it'll like locate it for you. It says like 3 feet away, 3 feet away, 2 feet, 1 feet. It's
So
fun.
you can figure out if it's buried under the pillows or the blanket
Most
or
of the
under
time,
a cushion.
buried under the pillows, or in the fridge sometimes.
What?
You're drinking, I'm holding the remote, and somehow, I swear to God.
I don't think I've done that, but definitely under the blankets and stuff. I'm gonna have to scroll back up. Y'all are going crazy here in the comments. So let's see. Not on Macs or Amigas, so Joe has never seen Clippy. Not sure why Apple doesn't have a speaker in the remote. Yeah, Brandon, that's a really good idea. I have a Chromecast, so sometimes I forget that it has a speaker, but boy, when I remember, it helps. I think I've said before on here though that my dad has a Sony TV, and he gets really mad at his remote when it doesn't understand him. Hi, Dad, if you're watching, I'm sure I'll get a call later or a text that says something smart aleck about me mentioning him. The best thing about a Google TV Chromecast, when I lose a remote, I can just use my phone. Oh, that's what Rob says. Wait, use your phone how? To find the remote, or just use your phone to change channels on the Chromecast? I have a Chromecast, and I'm wondering what this is about, because maybe I need to
I think you can just use your phone as a remote. I can do it. I have a Samsung TV, and I can use it as a remote.
Can do that with Roku too.
Okay, I have three Chromecasts and 3 Samsung TVs, and I know nothing. How have I not known about this? I mean, I have the Google Home app, and so I know I have messed with my kids by like turning the TV off when I know it's playing. But I haven't tried to use it as a remote, so I guess I'm gonna have to look that up. Rob, I kind of was a statistic that day because I was very annoyed at the commercial and being like, "What's going on?" And then I looked for a moment. I'm like, "Wait, that's not any of my stuff. Oh, it's the commercial." So it was only like a second or two where I was like, "Wait, what? Oh, no, never mind." At least I wasn't like I don't know if you saw on Reddit, but there was somebody who posted that her boyfriend got really mad and screamed at her, and it was like, it wasn't any of that. I just looked at my kid like, are you playing with your remote?" So nothing terrible like that where there was anger and screaming and throwing things involved. Let's see. Remote cases with a spot for an AirTag. That is cool. Let's see. AirTags on everything else. We've talked about AirTags a little bit. I think it was last week, and about the whole AirTags versus tiles and potential for stalking. So go back and watch last week if you want to see that a little bit, because there's some good and bad about those. if you didn't see it, Tile is doing a stealth mode on theirs, which has some not so great implications because, someone can put it in stealth mode and then it's not detectable by your phone. Supposedly there's a huge fine involved in it, but whether or not they would be able to enforce that is another story. So I'm just scrolling through. Anything else in there, Alexa, that
Not really. Yeah, just a lot of comments on, finding things.
Oh, most used command on my Google Home, ring my phone. That's great, except I always keep mine on silent.
Same.
Although if I listen really closely, I can hear the buzzing,
Yeah.
but it has to be really quiet. Man, I remember how much I hate Siri when it won't do things over voice randomly. I have that problem, and I also have the problem where my watch will randomly say, "I didn't catch that," in an Irish accent because I have Siri set to Irish accent instead of boring old American accent. So kind of keep it interesting and fun.
I like that.
Yeah. Does anybody else do weird accents on their stuff?
I don't, but I think I need to now.
Oh, when you use Ring My Phone, it will still ring at max volume, even if it's set to Do Not Disturb, ring off, vibrate only. Oh, that's good. Well, I know that on, I think on Find My Phone, if you can't find it, you can do that too. Because we did that with a colleague's phone. She accidentally left it in an Uber, and we were able to do that with hers and like ring it over and over again until the Uber driver answered. So
there you go.
And they need a command to turn off silent mode on my phone. Jacob, yeah, like a remote command to just say, I need it turned off temporarily so I can find it. I think there's a break. Like if you have your phone on Do Not Disturb, but you have people on your OK list, if they call more than 3 times, it will come off of silent or something like that. Something like that. Rob says he misses his TomTom GPS having Mr. T. I pay the food that don't turn left. I would probably want Samuel L. Jackson or
That's
something
what
like
Jeff
that.
said.
Oh yeah. I think there was at one point the option on the Echo to have it respond in Samuel L. Jackson, but mine is so old now that I don't have any of those options anymore. I don't even have the option to wake it with computer. I used to, but now I don't. Only the newer ones do. So they've removed that. So it's definitely not as fun. All right. So we are almost out of time anyways. So I'll stop bugging everyone. There's some good comments here. I've had about enough of these blankety blank U-turns. Yes, indeed. I know. In fact, when Snakes on a Plane came out many, many moons ago, a huge group of my friends and I went to see that just for Samuel L. Jackson alone. I think a lot of people did. That was the only reason we went and saw it, was because he was going to be on there. And it was worth it. It was totally worth it just for him. Can we have a shout out that map providers should not charge extra for CarPlay Android Auto capability? Yes, absolutely. Oh, and Snoop Dogg on some GPS units, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Say find my phone again. Say it. Yes, absolutely. I think some of the car manufacturers are now starting to charge for some of these car capability, like the different capabilities of syncing earphones and things. I think my uncle had just bought a car recently, and they were going to charge extra for being able to do it over Bluetooth, but if you plug it in via USB, you could still do it for free or some weird thing like that, because I had to help him set it up over the phone to do that. So I wish they would stop charging for all these extra things and just let us use our stuff. We already paid for the car. Stop trying to get extra money off of us after the fact. Oh no, Kelly says you'd get halfway there and Snoop would forget where you were going. Oh, that's terrible. Charging for syncing your phone. Heck, some are charging for seat heating, remote start. Yes.
Yeah.
I have seen the charging for the remote start via your phone. Like even using the app on your phone and stuff like that. I understand that there's some maintenance involved with those apps and needing to update them and everything, but come on, it's getting ridiculous. So I would not pay if they tried to charge me a monthly fee to keep my seat warmer up, that would be ridiculous. I mean, I have a seat warmer and I really like it during the winter, but if you were going to charge me to keep it going year over year, I would be really ticked off. Jeff says the only subscription for my car is navigation, but I use wireless CarPlay anyway. Yeah, I use well, I plug mine in via USB, so I have the Apple CarPlay, and that's really nice. But I would be annoyed if they, yes, Kelly, right in the streets. I would be annoyed if they charged for it. Monthly cost to run it? Nope. You're right, Rob. Nope. Riots in the streets, Kelly. Let's start it right now. All right, with that, we are done. We are out of time, but I love all the stuff in the chat. Y'all are going full bore, and we appreciate that. Thank you for joining us. Mark, thanks for being our guest. We hope to see you again soon. And retroactive thanks to Scott. He had to drop and deal with some things, but we appreciate him as well. Alexa, thank you for your help as always.
Of course.
And everyone, have a good weekend. And I guess we'll see you in March. So talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.